Alright guys, Red here. Today is the 28th of January. Last night we had Star Citizen live. This week on the show we had Todd Pape, who's the live game director, Benoit, who is the chief technology officer at Montreal, and Guillaume, who is the director of development, and Jared, obviously. The topic of discussion on that fine evening was 3.18. We started off talking about PES, that's Persistent Entity Streaming, and what effect it's having on the player and how they play the game. And one of the more noticeable aspects of PES in the new patch is that the servers just seem to feel more lived in. There's stuff lying around, there's ships to salvage, there's dead ships piling up on bad corners, erase tracks, etc. It was suggested as well that the approach to missions can also be affected, as you can pre-plan things and stash things in locations and vehicles and weapons and supplies, maybe for an escape route or, things like that. You start to be able to think and plan a bit differently than you would if everything was just always disappearing. And that goes the same for the devs. They're also learning how gameplay and missions they create can lean and utilise the new way objects spawn or don't despawn, and it changes the way in which the missions are made. Recently the team have been thinking about how they can get beacons into the game and how they can organise the cleanup of the world. Todd also spoke about how ships are currently designed as if they're lived in, and all the things on the shelves are placed there, sometimes erratically, but they're all static. In the future, I think they will be delivered cleaned out, and it will be you living in them and leaving things lying around that would eventually dirty them up. Also mentioned was the idea of tracking ships. This could possibly be done at any distance, maybe even by attaching beacon markers or, some similar system that in itself would have its own gameplay implications. Guillaume also brought up the element of surprise, and what he meant by that is maybe you go to a mission and for some reason or another there's some salvage there or some bodies to loot, etc. And that'll make each run or playthrough a little more interesting than the last, or slightly different at least, for free essentially, just because PES is enabled. Not only that, but it reinforces that lived-in world, and it can also tell a story about what's played out here, instead of there always being a perfectly clean slate every time you show up. Also, there'll be an upper limit to garbage using the density manager. These will basically cull entities based on class, so for example, say only 20 weapons can exist within a certain radius. If another weapon was to be dropped, then one of that 20 would have to plop out of existence. Garbage people were discussed, allowing an entity to clear up certain classes or allowing the player to do it. Incinerators were mentioned, so I'm not too sure, but I do think something's coming in that department. Server stability got a brief mention. The Daymar rally apparently went off without a single crash on the 3.17.5 servers. Todd said our stability score for 3.18 is definitely increased, but we'd definitely be looking at a 3.18.1 patch and more to increase that bar even further. A character repair tool is being introduced as a replacement for the traditional character reset. The original was apparently very heavy on performance and getting heavily misused, so now the character repair tool will only really affect the player avatar and fixing them and getting you playing again without affecting your inventory, ships and reputation, etc. It won't, however, let you bypass any medical or crime related statuses. Also, any ship bugs that have been getting pushed back because they can normally be solved with a reset will now be brought forward. This won't give you back your subscriber flare or paid for armor items, etc. But it should also be noted that customer service will still have the ability to do a normal reset. I'll have to see how that plays out. Bugs preventing PTU going into Wave 2 seem to be mostly solved, and we should expect that real soon. Crafting got a mention, with them saying that the current crafting of a multi-tool is foundational and that there are a few things in the way, but once they are cleared we should see more crafting come into play. Servers beacons getting a star rating system seems to still be a thing, so when someone rescues you they will be able to rate that experience, and that will go far to help avoid any piracy, etc. down the road. They said it's not high in the plan, but it is still in there, so yeah. Todd was speaking about the changes to ballistic weapons versus shields, and he said that the AI have had a bit of an accuracy upgrade. Tie that in with the improved server performance and the fact they tend to use ballistics more, and we should see some slight uptick in their combat performance. In another section of the video about stuff upcoming for 3.19, it was mentioned that the cargo will all need structured into size tiers for organisation depending on what ship you're using, whether that be 32 SCU or normal boxes, or even 1/8 size was mentioned as being organised on the grids. Then on top of that, they might be looking to add some modifiers to the cargo, so it might be like volatile or frozen or under some kind of time constraints. This sounds like a great idea for all the haulers out there. I'm sure they, like me, will be very much looking forward to these coming into effect. Savage munching will also be coming to 3.19 as well, hopefully. That's the plan anyway. Also racing missions, which might expand that side of things and add a rep system, etc. Grimhex Racetrack is on the docket, so we might see that at some point too. And that was all for Star Citizen Live. Some tasty little nuggets in there, but that's all I've got for you. Remember, like and subscribe. 07 guys.